Good morning, students. Today we will discuss about the essential Hadoop tools. In previous class, I have discussed about different types of Hadoop tools for big data. So, in that, according to your syllabus, we have picked some very important Hadoop tools. Those things we will discuss in detail. Okay. So this is first chapter in second module. Okay. So essential Hadoop tools. Okay, so what are the different Hadoop tools? Essential. Okay, where important Hadoop tools. We may have more than 20-25 Hadoop tools are available. So in that we are selecting very important and essential Hadoop tools for our big data. Okay, so here what are the different Hadoop tools we have? So here in this syllabus, in your syllabus, we are discussing 6 Hadoop tools. So that is Pig, Hive, Scoop, Flume, Oozie, and HBase. So these are the 6 Hadoop tools what we have in your syllabus. We will discuss these things. I already given an introduction about these things in previous class. Today we will discuss in detail. Okay, so what is Apache Pig? So I already told that Apache Pig is nothing but it is used to analyze the large data sets. So in big data, we will have structured data, unstructured data, semi-structured data. So we need to analyze the data. So at that time, we will use Pig, Apache Pig. So for that, we will have a Pig Latin language. To write a data analysis program, Pig provides a high-level language known as Pig Latin. Okay. So whenever you want to analyze, it may be analysis means you need to understand and you need to normalize the data. So all those things will be done using Apache Pig. To analyze the data, we need one language. Okay, so that language is nothing but it Pig provides a language, high level language known as Pig Latin. Okay, so programmer can develop their own functions to read, write, and process for data set. Okay, so here for that programmers he can develop a own functions to read, write, and of large data sets. So using Pig Latin, so if he knows the Pig Latin program, easily he can write the functions, okay, own functions to read a large data set, to write large data set, or to process that data sets. He can write a number of functions. So what are the different functions? Okay, so what are the different transformation data functions? So here it defines a Pig Latin. It defines a set of transformation on data set, such as a transformation means one forum to another forum. So here that one forum to another forum, here we are giving an example of aggregate. So that is you need to take an average of things and you want to join a two tables, okay, two to three data sets, or you can sort in ascending order or a descending order. For all those things, he can, using Pig Latin, he can write a program for that. Okay, so here this is Pig is also used to extract, transform, and load raw data. Okay, so here, so when you collect the data from different sources, it may have in the raw form. So that raw data use that Pig is used to extract the raw data. Okay, to transform from one form to another form, and to load the raw data to some other system. So at that time, we will use this one. So here Pig has two usage modes. What are those? Local mode and non-local mode. Local mode means it belongs to that uh, individual system. Okay, so here suppose you are writing a Pig program, so that is used to extract or aggregate or transform the data within that system. So that one we will call it as a local mode. If it is non-local mode means, so it is a, we already know that big data is distributed among and multiple, among the different clusters. Okay, so here at the time when you have a concept of clusters, that one we will call it as a non-local mode. So when you transfer the data to different low clusters, or you want to aggregate, or you want to summarize, you want to transfer one form to another form on different clusters, so at that time we will use a concept of non-local mode. So non-local mode is nothing but the data, whatever data sets are distributed among multiple clusters, that those clusters are available on different systems. So at that time we will go for the non-local mode. If it is local mode means, okay, so if it is local mode means that data aggregation will be done in the same system. So these are the two systems. Okay, so mainly Pig is used for data analysis. Okay, so for that we will have a language, Pig Latin language. Okay, using Pig Latin language, a user can write a their own functions to read, write, or to analyze the data. Okay, and also you can write the ADS whenever we want to transfer the data from one firm to another firm. At that time, this using Pig Latin, we can write a number of functions. The transformation, it may be aggregation or a summation or a join of different data sets, and Pig is used to extract, load, or transfer from the raw data. Okay, and Pig has two usage mode, that is local mode within the clusters. When you want to do processing, analyze the data within the system, at that time we will call it as a local mode. And when it is non-local mode, means when the data is distributed among multiple clusters, at that time you want to process the data, so at that time we will use the non-local mode. Okay, so that is the concept of Pig. So next tool is Hive. Okay, I already told that Hive is a data warehouse infrastructure. I have given brief introduction in previous class. Hey, Hive is a data warehouse infrastructure built on top of Hadoop. Okay, so in HDFS, after that Hadoop distributed file system, this Hive is data warehouse is stored. Okay, so how Hive provides a data summarization, ad hoc queries, and analysis of large data sets. Okay, so here we already know that Hive is a data data warehouse. So in that data warehouse we will have a we may store huge amount of data. Okay, so to retrieve the data or to process the data, okay, so for that we need one language. Okay, so that language we will call it as a HiveQL. Like it is like a SQL language. So in SQL language, that is structured query language, what we are doing, you can create a data, you can retrieve the data, you can modify the data. So like that, for that is SQL is for that is used for a structured data. So but here this big data is nothing but it may contain unstructured data also. So for that we can't use a SQL. So at that time we will go for that we will have a Hive QL. Okay, so here using HiveQL we can do data summarization or ad hoc query, dynamic queries you can execute. Okay, and once you execute the queries, you can fetch the data from the data warehouse. And if you want to analyze the large data sets, so at that time we will use HiveQL. So initially Hadoop is developed by Facebook. Later Apache Software Foundation took it up and made it as a Apache Hadoop. So here initially Hadoop is developed by Facebook. Okay, why that Facebook in that what we are doing in Facebook, we will put a message, we will put a comment, we will put a image, we will put a videos, all those things we are doing. So those are all nothing but unstructured data. So to analyze that unstructured data, that Facebook has developed a Hadoop. Okay, so for that later that Apache Software Foundation, that is one company, Apache Software Foundation, it took it that Hadoop and it will made it as a Apache Hadoop. Okay, so what are the different commands? So here we are taking a very simple command. Okay, so in SQL also here we can create a table. So at the time what we have, create table name. Same thing here also. So here create table name employee. So this is nothing but an attribute name, and this is the data type, int id, int, and name string. So this is a data type and this is an attribute name. So like that we can use this is same like that we already told that it is like a SQL like language. So some common points we have. Okay, so like that we can create one employee table, and suppose if you want to display the tables, so at that time we will have a command show tables. Okay, so if you want to display the tables are available in the database, so for that we will have a show tables. The next one is drop table. So when you want to drop a table, employee table, that one is drop table name. Okay, so that is using drop command. Same commands I think we are using in SQL also. And next one is load data local path sample emp overwrite into table employee. So here what we are doing, so suppose load the data local in path. Okay, so here whenever you want to overwrite into a employee table from the sample emp, okay, so at that time we will take this local data path. Okay, after that we will overwrite the employee table. Okay, so for that we will use this just I have given one in path. Okay, sample.emp, that one will be overwrite into a employee table. Okay, so that is nothing but a Hive. So Hive is nothing but a data warehouse. So for that, it is built on top of the Hadoop. Okay, so to analyze the large data set, we will have a SQL-like language, that is Hive SQL. Using Hive SQL, we can create a database. You can analyze. You can raise a dynamic queries. That is nothing but we will raise a Hadoop queries. That is also a possible. So then after that, we will have a n number of comments to create a table and other things to show and to drop tables. Those are the simple comments I have given. So next one is, third one is Apache Scoop. So this is a very, very important tool. Okay, so this Scoop is used to transfer the data between Hadoop and relational database. Whenever you want to transfer the data from RDBMS to Hadoop or Hadoop to RDBMS at the time. So this one is Scoop tool is used. This one we will call it as an import export tool from RDBMS or to RDBMS. Okay, so here Scoop imports the data from RDBMS into HDFS. Okay, so here in Hadoop, HDFS is the Hadoop distributed file system is the platform where we can store the big data. Okay, so for that we will have a concept called Hadoop, Scoop import. Okay, so using Scoop import, we will load the data from RDBMS into HDFS. Like that, when you want to extract the data from HDFS to RDBMS, vice versa. When you want to transfer the data from HDFS to RDBMS, at that time we will use the, we will use that extract from the export from the HDFS to RDBMS. Okay, so these are things: import data from RDBMS to Hadoop, export data from Hadoop to RDBMS. Okay, so these are the two things. Scoop can be used with any JDBC compliant database tested with Microsoft SQL Server, MySQL, okay, PostgreSQL, Oracle. So it can be, so because why we are telling that, so we are transferring the data from to and from the RDBMS. So for that, what we are doing, we need to link with the Scoop with the Hadoop distributor, link with the RDBMS. So RDBMS is available in Microsoft SQL Server or MySQL, okay, PostgreSQL or Oracle. So these are the different RDBMS softwares what we have. So we can link with this Scoop. Okay, so here how we will import and how we will export the data. So these are the, to import or export, we will have two. This is very, very important diagram. In exams they will ask, so what are the how we can export the data from HDFS, or how we will import the data to HDFS using from relational database management system. Okay, so here we have two steps. Okay, so in this is this is nothing but an RDBMS, and this is a HDFS clusters, Hadoop clusters. What we are calling as we call it as a Hadoop clusters. So here what it will do in first is Scoop import. First it will gather the metadata from the RDBMS. What is the metadata? The metadata is nothing but a data about data. Data about data is nothing but a structure of data. Okay, so data about data is nothing but it is a structure of data. So how many attributes are there? How many, what is the data type used? How many columns are there? How many rows are there? What is the total size of the data? So all those things are, we'll call it as a metadata. Okay, so this metadata first it will, why it needs, because in target, in destination, same thing we need to store now. So for that we need to create the memory locations. So we need to map to the destination. So for that we will use the this Hadoop Scoop import. In this Scoop import will gather the metadata from the RDBMS. After they gather the metadata, it will submit the map only jobs. Okay, here we don't have a concept of reduce. Just we split the job into n number of we are mapping the jobs. We will split and we will map the job. That's all. Okay, here there is no reduce concept, and each map it will be responsible to store the data to a particular cluster. So here we will have 4 HDFS storage clusters. So all those 4 HDFS clusters we have corresponding map function. That one we will call it as a Scoop job. Okay, so using this Scoop job we will store the data to HDFS storage. That is nothing but a HDFS clusters. Those things we will store using Scoop job. Okay, so here first thing in first step, it will gather the data metadata. So then after that, submit the map only job. So that map only job is nothing but a, so for each HDFS clusters we will have a particular map function. So that map function is responsible to store the data to particular HDFS. Okay, so this is a two-step Apache Scoop data import method. Like we will have an export method. Okay, so same thing here also. Here also we will have two steps only. So first one, it will gather the Scoop export function. So in previous one, we will have a Scoop import function. So here we will have a Scoop export function. Scoop export, what it will do? It will first it will take the metadata of the RDBA. Okay, so it will gather the metadata structure of the data. Okay, so then after that, it will submit the map only job. So here what that map job will do, it will takes the data from HDFS cluster. Okay, so it will takes the data from HDFS storage. Okay, so then it will write that map jobs will be writing to the RDBMS. Okay, so reverse. So in previous what we are doing, we are writing from RDBMS to HDFS clusters. So here we are taking the values from the HDFS storage and we are storing in the that map is each map it will take the data from individual clusters and after that it will store that one in RDBMS. Okay, so this is a two-step Scoop data export method. Okay, so next, so usually they may ask this question: what are the two steps Scoop data import and export methods? So usually they will ask this question. Okay, so next concept is Apache Flume. Apache Flume. So what is Apache Flume? Apache Flume is an independent agent designed to collect, transport, store data in HDFS. Okay, so here the data is available in multiple sources. So this Apache Flume used to collect the data from different sources. Then after that, it needs to collect, transport, and store the data in HDFS. Okay, from the different sources, we can collect the data. So then after that, once we collect the data, we need to transfer data in a specific forum. Then after that, we need to store in the destination. Okay, so here this Flume used for log files, social media generated data, and email messages. So we may collect the data from log files, or we may collect the data from a social media or from a email from different sources. We may collect the data. So then after that, we need to store that one in HDFS. Okay, so you are putting a number of messages in on Facebook, or you may put a number of videos in YouTube or in Facebook, and you may put comment, you may put photos. So all those things we need to store in HDFS. So at that time, this Flume will be used. So here Flume, it contains the three components. What are the three components? Source, channel, sink. What is the use of source? A source, it is the responsibility to collect the data from different sources. Okay, so here source is responsible to collect the data from different sources. Then after that, through the channel, it will send the data to destination. So here sink, what it will do? So sink is responsible to take the data from channel. Then after that, it will send to destination. Okay, the destination is nothing but a area. See here how the data will be. Okay, so how data will be sent to HDFS from web server. So here this is source is get the data from web servers. Okay, so that is it may be Facebook, or it may be YouTube, or it may be Twitter, it may be Instagram. So from a number of things it may collect. Okay, so after that, once it collect from source, it will send the data through channel. Okay, it will send the through channel. So here sink, what it will do, it will responsible to store the data to HDFS. Okay, so channel just it will act as an intermediate between the source and the sink. So here that sink, it will takes the data from channel. So once it takes this from the channel, it will store the data in HDFS. Okay, so it will store the data in HDFS, Hadoop distributed file system. So like that, these are the three important things: source, channel, and sync. Three important things in Flume. Okay. So here, this is an example of a Flume consolidated network.
Excuse me, sir. So what is the job of sync?
Sync, it will collect the data from channel. So you are transferring the data through the channel. The source sends the data to channel. Okay, so channel is nothing but it is an act as an intermediary between the source and destination. Okay, so here through that like a path. So from that we can transfer the data. Okay, so here source, it will send the data to through channel. So here sync, it will collect the data from that channel, and it is responsible stored to HDFS, Hadoop Distributed File System. Okay, so that is the responsible of sync. Okay, so directly the channel will not able to store the data in HDFS. So for that we need one component. That component is nothing but a sync. So like that. So here we have a this is a consolidated network. Okay, so here it may be we will have different yeah, we will call it as agent 1, agent 2, agent 3. So in that agent we will have three things, same thing: source, channel, and sync. Like that, source, channel, and sync. So all those things we have. So it may be a one web server, or from that Facebook, or from the another one Twitter, another one YouTube, from different sources. For each web server we will have a one agent, so that in that agent we will have a source. It will that source is responsible to collect from that web server. So after that, once it collects the data, it will send through channel. Then sync will receive, and it will store the HDFS. So here what happens? So here we will have from three web servers. This the three agents are collecting the data. So then after that, finally we need to store in HDFS. So for that we will have one more agent, agent 4. It will consolidate from three agents. Okay, so it will consolidate it with three agents. Okay, so after that it will send one more channel, and finally final sync, it will take all those consolidated data and it will store in HDFS. Okay, so like that, from different sources we are collecting and storing into the HDFS. Okay, so this is a consolidated network of storing from different different sources to HDFS. Okay, next one is Apache Oozie. Okay, so here Oozie, what is Oozie? Okay, so Oozie, it is it is related to Hadoop jobs. Okay, so it is a workflow director system designed to run and manage multiple related Hadoop jobs. So here I already told that. So when you want to execute a when you want to execute some data, or when you want to analyze the data, that the job n number of that work will be divided into n number of jobs. Okay, that job will be sent to task tracker. Okay, so here each job we need to manage that multiple jobs. Okay, so for that this Oozie will be responsible. Okay, that one we will call it as a workflow director. It means how that work will which direction that work will follow. So all those things will be managed by Apache Oozie. Okay, so to complete data input and analysis may require several discrete Hadoop jobs. Okay, so here to analyze the data, data input, and to analyze the data, so we will have n number of Hadoop jobs. We will have a discrete Hadoop jobs to run as a workflow. So one after the other. So randomly we can't execute the data or a jobs. So one after the other, or a sequence of jobs is required. Okay, to manage that workflow, we will use this Apache Oozie. Okay, so it means the output of the how that jobs are linked. The output of the one job will be the input to the next job. Okay, the output of one job will be the input of next job. Like that, we will have a sequence. So that workflow we will managed by this Apache Oozie. So here this workflow jobs will be represented as a DAG, that is directed acyclic graphs. So we are taking one example. Okay, so here before that we will have there are three types of Oozie jobs: workflow, coordinator, and bundle. Okay, so what is the workflow? Workflow is nothing but a sequence of jobs with outcome. Okay, so here sequence of jobs with outcome. Without outcome, there is no workflow. Okay, so progress from one action to another cannot happen until the first action is complete. Once the first job is completed, then only we will go for the next job. Otherwise, we won't go at all. Okay, so workflow is a sequence of jobs with outcome. That is, a progress of one actions to another action cannot happen until the first action is completed. Okay, so like without complete clearing first year exams, you won't go for final year, like that. So a completion of one job, we won't go for the next job. Complete this job, then only you will go for next job. Okay, so you complete first semester, next then only you will go for second semester, like that. So next one is coordinator. A coordinator is a scheduled workflow job that can run at various time intervals when the data become available. Okay, so coordinator is a scheduled workflow job that can run at various time interval when the data become available. When the data is available, you can execute that. So instead of waiting till that data is available, so okay, at that if you stop that job, okay, it's very difficult. So that's why this coordinator is responsible. So whenever the data is available, you can complete that job. Okay, so that is the workflow. And third one is bundle. A bundle is a higher level USI abstraction that will batch a set of coordinator jobs. It will collect the different jobs and in batch wise it will execute. Okay, so that one we will call it as a bundle. Okay, workflow is output of one job. Okay, so without completing one job, we won't go for the next job. Coordinator, when the data is available at that time, you can execute the program. And bundle is nothing but a collection of jobs and batch wise you will execute. That one we will call it as a bundle. Okay. As this is an workflow, so we start. So here we will have a one map road. There is word count. Okay, so here we will stop when there is an error comes. You will kill that job. Okay, if when you are executing the program, if you get an error, you can kill that job. Otherwise, if it is okay, so then you will end that execution of the program. This is a simple direct acyclic graph. We will go a multiple. See here, this is more complex OZ direct acyclic graph workflow. So here we will have one Java main program. It will start from start. Okay, so what we need to start that Java main function. Okay, if it is that function is okay, so that program is okay. So then we will have a fork. So that is fork to create a process. Okay, so here what we are doing here mapped is job or a big job. So we are the job will be divided into one mapped is job and big job. Okay, so we are dividing that job into two things. Okay, so then this is also executed. Then this is that is what map reduce map, and after that we will split the jobs. Then after that we will map. Okay, so in first class I have executed that map reduce framework. Okay, same thing here also. So we will split the job as a map reduce streaming job and a pick job. So if it is executed successfully and pick job is also executed successfully, then we will combine the two things. Okay, so when you combine the two things, we will have a for that function we will have a join. Okay, so we have joined the output of this YAML streaming, that is mapped streaming and a pick job. So once we join those things, we will check the condition. We'll check the condition whether that is true or false or some kind. Okay, so if you need more jobs, then we will assign a once again map reduce job. If it is enough, so then we will go for the Java main program. Okay, so if you want more jobs to complete that particular task, we will assign a some more map reduce jobs. So otherwise, if it is enough, so then we will go for directly main Java program. We will complete that one, and finally we have FS job, file system job. If it is executed, then okay, and it will be end. So it means here, see here, we are executing the jobs here one after the other. The output of the one job will be the input to the next job. Okay, so this is on a directed cyclic graph for OZ workflow. So in this OZ we will have main thing, that is bundle, coordinator and workflow. So these are the three things. Okay, so, workflow, coordinator, and bundle. These things are very, very important. Then last one is Apache HBase. Okay, so HBase is nothing but it is a, we will call it a column oriented database. Okay, so here it is a non-relational. Okay, so non-relational, so in RDBMS we'll have a rows and columns. Okay, so and in RDBMS it is a row oriented database. So here HBase is a non-relational distributed column oriented database model after Google Big Data. So Google Big Data, they have also developed a column oriented database. Okay, so after that, this Apache HBase is an Apache has developed this HBase that is used for a column oriented database. It is not an SQL database. It is not a relation. No join operations are used. Okay, it is not an SQL structured query language database. It is not a relational. That is not a relational is nothing but a that is data is represented rows or columns, and no join operations are used. So in SQL we have used n number of join, inner join, outer join, okay, left outer join, right outer join, okay, theta join, okay, equi join, okay. So n number of join operations are used, but in Apache HBase we are not using any join operation. Okay, so what are the features of this? Okay, so here it is a linear scalability. So when the task is more or less, the scalability remains same. Okay, and it may store in 100 terabytes of data. So in relation RDBs we can store megabytes of data. So here we can store 100 terabytes of data. Okay, and it means it have huge amount of memory space to store the big data. Okay, so it is strictly consistent read and writes. Okay, so yeah, it is strictly consistently it will read and write big data, and automatic and configurable shading of tables. Okay, so automatically we may configure the tables. Okay, then automatic fail over support. Okay, whenever something is happened failed, so it may recover from the from that. Okay, so here, so this is one features we have. Okay, so here we have row key. Okay, so here we have an employee ID. See here in the personal data, so in that column we have inside two columns. That's why we are taking this one as a column oriented. Okay, so in SQL we have only one column that may have column header, but here in that column personal data, in that we will have two columns. Okay, name and city. And here professional data, in that we'll have designation and salary. See the difference between RDBMS and this one. Okay, so in RDBMS we can declare that employee ID, name, city, designation, salary as one independent column header. But here in this we will have a personal data as a one main column header, and professional data is one main column header. So for that we will have a one row key. Okay, so in that row key we have a employee ID. In personal data we have name and city, and in professional data we have designation and salary. So that's why we will call it as HBase is a column oriented database. So in that we will have a name, we'll have the okay, each one will have a rows. Okay, so this is an example of HBase column.